probably make that Ultimate Spider-Man review. Been planning on doing that for a what? How? You sure took your sweet ass time. I noticed. Why didn't you remind me I needed to get this done? Us fans shouldn't have to remind you to get back to work. I don't know if you've noticed, but the only fans I have are people I talk with on a weekly basis. Get your fan shit out of my basement. Hey, that's no way to treat your fan. Oh, shit, you pulling out guns? Alright, fine. I'll leave. I can wait. Jeez, I'm sorry. And with that out of the way... Hey, I'm Gus, and welcome to another episode of Console Generation 6 Reviews. This is episode 2, where we will be taking a look at Ultimate Spider-Man, released by Activision in 2005. Yeah, it's been a long-ass time since I made a video, but you think I like waiting 5 to 6 months between each video? I promise this won't happen again. I already have the next script going. I won't let this happen a second time. Jesus Christ, I'm giving John trying to run for his money when it comes to inconsistency. Back to our game. This game wasn't really revered as being that great. It did get greatest hits on PlayStation, but other than that, it didn't really get a whole lot of recognition, which is kind of sad. Well, if it's just an average game, it shouldn't get any more recognition then, right? I told you to go upstairs. You don't even live here, damn it. Get out! This game was published by Activision, and if you don't know who Activision is, I don't know how you exist.
Activision has published literally thousands of titles, from Call of Duty games, Transformers games, Star Wars and Star Trek games, the amazing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. If you own more than 3 games from this generation, I guarantee one of them will be published by this company. Oh, look at that. They published a SpongeBob game too. Huh. Before creating Ultimate Spider-Man, a year earlier in 2004, Activision developed and published the perfect Spider-Man game known as Spider-Man 2, based off the 2002 movie. Well, this game was fantastic in its own right.
No, I will not be reviewing Spider-Man 2. Number 1, I don't even own the game, and 2, I have a review schedule to keep. Sorry, but I'm not gonna make it. Oh, come on, I was hoping to see that review. Get out of my house!
In an almost exact reverse motion of THQ and SpongeBob SquarePants' Revenge of the Aborted Fetuses, this game was a hit with the consumers, so they figured...
These are some good-looking numbers, team. Fantastic work. We gotta keep raking in these dollars. Alright. Does anybody have any ideas for our next game this coming year? Oh, I got a great idea. Phil, yes, what did you have in mind? What if we made another Spider-Man game, but we based it on the Ultimate Spider-Man comic books? You're a genius.
And so it was. The next Spider-Man game would follow the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, where the origins of some certain characters were a bit different than the usual canon.
The timeline that this game presents, Venom was created as a cure for cancer. Let that sink in for a minute.
With a story to follow and a hyped-up community to see what their next big idea would be, Activision was off to the races to find their lead developer. Their choice was their tried-and-true friend, Treyarch.
Come on, do I really need to give you an introduction on who Treyarch is?
Afterwards, because every damn game from this era had to have a handheld tie-in.
Oh, seriously, just about every single one of these that I'm holding in my hand has some sort of tie-in on the DS or the GameCube. I'm not kidding. It was that bad.
Activision hired a company by the name of Vicarious Visions to work on a DS and GBA version. They were actually the same that made the BFBB Game Boy tie-in. After just over a year since Spider-Man 2 released, we would be given our next dose of Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man was released to the public on September 22nd of 2005 with a box art that screams, "There's an edgy side to this game, you've been warned." The box art for this game, in my opinion, looked great. I like the simple red, a touch of blackish purple to pay homage to Venom, and once again the box art makes it look great with him poking out of the shadows behind Spider-Man. Even on the spine of the box, the vivid bright red gets darker and darker towards the bottom, eventually inverting to the use of black instead of red. Flipping to the back of the box, we get to see Spider-Man's triple-jointed hips, and then we get to see what our graphics are going to look like. The in-game graphics aren't the best looking, but the actual collectible art pieces and then obviously the stuff on the box art looks fantastic. I haven't actually read the Ultimate comic books, but this is kind of making me want to read them now. Alright, enough about the box. Let's slap this in the PS2. Oh, hey, look at that. There's a memory card holder.
For you younger viewers, you're probably not going to understand this, but back in the days of the GameCube and the PS2, you had to carry around a memory card to save all your memory from your multiple games. That made it easier to not just shove it in your pocket, so then they made these. You can just throw them in there, throw them in your backpack, and head on over to your friend's house. Nowadays, you can just scream at somebody on a PSN party or Discord and have them pick up and play something. Seeing this memory card holder makes me kind of sad because couch gaming is just kind of gone now. You guys remember the times when you would just like gather around the couch, play some Mario Kart or Smash or something, up to 5 people just dicking around? That was always fun. Yeah, those were the days before this mask super glued itself to my face. Can't help, I can't get it off. Send the paramedics, please, somebody help. Sorry, it's just nice to relive some nostalgia every once in a while, which is kind of why I made the channel. But enough of that. Let's pop this in the system, shall we?
After the usual product placement and company logos, we get our menu screen and, well... This menu theme is awesome. Also, I'm not sure if this was intentional, maybe it's just because this game is really old, but the loading times sometimes take up to like 45 seconds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but for a loading screen that's practically like 5 minutes in a Tycoon game.
The only reason I don't really mind the long wait time is because we get to bop to that menu music.
After starting up a new game, we get a nice intro sequence that basically outlines the story of Peter Parker and Eddie Brock for some reason.
What is that? It's our inheritance.
Now, I know that not a lot of people know or really care about the Ultimate Comics. I know I don't care for this style of Spider-Man, but man, this is really weird. Like, when has Peter Parker ever had a father? Not a father figure because Uncle Ben was his father figure, but dad? Like, biological father? Huh? Also, Peter's powers make no sense. We see him get bit in the beginning, but then later on he says,
Alright, I'm gonna run by home and grab my web shooters.
so which is it, game? Does he have powers from the spider bite like in the Sam Raimi movies, or does he have to have all these fancy gadgets like in Spider-Man PS4?
Before you ask, yes, I will eventually review Spider-Man PS4, but again, I have a schedule, it's not going to be anytime soon, alright?
We also never see him lifting any cars or anything, so it doesn't seem like he has enhanced strength like in PS4 or Homecoming, so just a little confused here.
Once again, I don't exactly know a lot about the Ultimate Timeline. I could be missing a lot of things about his powers. I'm not a die-hard fan, but something is just not adding up with this kind of thing.
Whatever, let's just breeze past that and talk about our actual gameplay, which is actually awesome. Web swinging is pretty fluid and easy once you get the hang of it, and even the web zipping is nice to help with lower buildings. Getting from place to place is simple as long as you know where you're going. Just don't constantly swap between zipping and swinging because the game freaks out sometimes when you swap between them really quick. I've even glitched through a wall doing that once back when I played it when I was younger. The combat itself is rather standard, simply hitting square or triangle will usually just work. You do actually have to web the enemies after you knock them down or you'll just be facing a never-ending wave of them. You can also web enemies to street lamps, which is kinda fun, but it loses its luster really quickly. The map is rather large for a game from this time. You basically have the whole New York Island to explore. Of course, because it's a PS2 game, the full graphics don't load until you actually get close to whichever building or area you're going to, but for the time I think it looked alright. The sections with Venom in this game are awesome. You don't have a web swing, which is the main reason people didn't like the Venom sections. Instead he gets like a super jump, which is like Hulk has, but I think they're a solid addition to the game. I also have to give props to his design. Venom is designed to be a big buff dude that has a weird warped voice because of the symbiote.
Or whatever the hell he's supposed to be in this universe.
Having Venom being a hulking mass of blackish purple goo with long tendrils that you can use to eat children with? What the hell is this? This is some Stephen King shit. Besides that nightmare fuel, the artwork in some of the loading screens look amazing. They were ripped straight from the comics. Overall, the gameplay and the feel of the movement and combat are rather solid. In my opinion, it flows better than with Spider-Man 2. Unfortunately, this is where my praises for this game end.
Don't get me wrong. This game is perfectly fine, but if you have no idea about the Ultimate Comics, or you just are a Spider-Man fan and found this, all that you're gonna know is, hey, it's a Spider-Man game, and you got Venom in it. That's about it. Consider this a clear division between the good and bad parts about this game. Wait a minute, what? You're not just gonna sing your praises to this game? It's on your nostalgia list. Don't you just love it then? Now, there's a difference between being so blinded by nostalgia into thinking a game is fantastic, or going back about 2 or 3 years later, playing it over again and realizing it is not as good as you thought. That game is a perfect example of that. You have been warned. When it comes to this game's story, the whole game is only like 5 hours long, and I've seen walkthroughs where people beat it in like 3 or 2. It truly shows, because this game's plot is so thin that Ray fucking Charles could see through it. It's basically this. Peter wants to know what happened to his dad and Eddie's dad. Along the way, you encounter a bunch of iconic Spider-Man characters like Rhino, Silver Sable, Shocker, Johnny Storm, yes, and Venom, of course. Anyways, after you find Boulevard Trask, aka Bad Guy Businessman, who I have never heard of until playing this game, I can't help but think to myself, why isn't it just Norman Osborn? Or even Otto Octavius? That would make so much more sense.
Norman has always been part of Spider-Man lore, and so is Doc Ock, even if they aren't supervillains. For Christ's sake, neither Osborns or even the whole company of Oscorp even exist in this universe.
Alright, now look. I understand that this is a completely different timeline and completely different comic series than the original Spider-Man style. But why? There are so many characters that you could pick from. Gwen Stacy, Harry and Norman Osborn, villains like Vulture and Scorpion. You're already using Peter Parker and Eddie Brock, even MJ. What's stopping you from using the other characters?
Ugh. Anyway, Eddie wants to kill Trask, but Peter wants the information about what happened to his dad. So Trask hires Silver Sable to protect him from Venom and Spider-Man. Then for some reason, Peter is kidnapped by this guy.
This character is literally so bland and unimportant I don't even feel like mentioning his name.
And then for some reason, Peter's turned into Carnage for like 15 seconds. He's then absorbed by Venom, and then he tries to go kill Trask. Spider-Man obviously stops him from doing so, but he also steals documents explaining what happened to his parents. Then you beat the shit out of Venom and get some ending cinematics that tease a sequel. Jesus, even in 2005, Marvel was doing cliffhangers. And then the game ends.
What did I just play?
Oh, don't get me wrong, there are other plot points like Nick motherfucking Fury showing up out of nowhere for a while, and of course there's the races between you and Johnny Storm, but the whole thing just makes no sense.
I understand that this is more entwined with the X-Men comics. I understand it's a completely different timeline. But it's such a far cry from what Spider-Man has been in the past, it's making my head spin over here.
I would be on board with a new Spider-Man timeline, but the game does such a piss-poor job that it completely turned away my interest in the Ultimate Universe. Even the animation looks like they gave everybody a caveman face, and the voice acting gives Resident Evil Survivor a run for how shitty it is.
That's my bike you smashed this place up with. What are you supposed to be, anyway? I'm the best of everything. And what that is ain't pretty at all. See these claws? Unbreakable. You, dead now.
They even ruined Peter Parker. He's a hollow shell of what he should be. Instead of his quips being funny and entertaining, they make him come off as a snarky douchebag who just wants to flex that he's Spider-Man and that means he can do whatever he damn well pleases. Characters in this are basically blank slates that were never colored in, and that goes for everybody. Flashy designs don't always justify a personality rivaling Jiren from Dragon Ball Super.
I know there's going to be some of you out there that are just going to hate me now that I've ripped into your favorite game. But when you step back and take a non-biased opinion at this, you really do see it for what it truly is.
No, don't go thinking I enjoy ending this on a negative note. There are plenty of good things in this game, from the actual gameplay, the original soundtrack, and even some of the original artwork are fantastic. I just unfortunately cannot look at this game anymore without seeing all the flaws and all of the issues that the story and other parts have. You don't have to take my word on this. Hell, I actually still encourage you to give it a try. And childhood me would say that this was one of the best games that he had ever played.
Let me be frank. I don't hate this game. There are certain choices I don't enjoy. However, if you like this game, that's fantastic. More power to you. But after taking a look at it from a different view, this game is not as good as you previously would have thought. Well, maybe the next game I take a look at will bring back my nostalgia for this generation. I'm Gus. Thanks for stopping by. So a quick bit of behind the scenes here. I obviously use a tripod to record everything off my phone. But in the middle of filming, it kind of broke. So I have been using PS4 games and a drawing pad to hold up the thing for like the last few clips. So if some of it looks sideways, that's probably why.